Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm Donovan.
And I'm Jordan.
Join us as we go into the pages.
Podcast! The Sunlit Man, the Sunlit Man.
Before we get into that, I have something I wanted to show you.
Ooh, it already came.
It already came, that's right. And I may have already opened it and looked at it. But I thought it would be fun to let's look at this real quick before we get into this week's chapters. So first of all, here's our little pin. Got Kaladin. I was pretty excited to get Kaladin.
Oh, nice. Is it random or do they like...
I think it's random. I don't think it's assigned.
That's pretty sweet.
No, I have Kaladin and Vasher. I should have them fight on my wall.
Kaladin and Vasher. That's fine.
Yes. Here's the booked mark.
So far, each of the bookmarks have been a scene from the book, so we'll see.
Yes. And I mean, the other side, that is a scene from the we've already... It's a scene we've already seen.
That's true.
Just a lot of it is cut out. But it looks like there's a woman that we don't know. And then here's your favorite part, or maybe second favorite if you like the book.
Ooh, that's a nice sticker.
Yes. It's a big one, too. Good luck fitting on that on your Kindle.
Ah, dang it. It's all shiny and like reflective.
Yes. And this is what I was really excited to see this because they decided to go the way of the trend or whatever, and they spray painted the back, the pages. I thought this book looks so dang good.
Yeah,
like,
it does.
Holy
Yes.
crap. The other ones look really good too. This one still just... Especially, I was not expecting it because I wasn't expecting the
black
the
pages.
black.
Makes the pages look really interesting.
Yeah. I didn't even look at the back. I got to the pages and then I just realized I think it's the same woman as on the stickers on the back.
I think so.
It smells beautiful.
Yes, it does. I love the smell of blue books.
And I thought this was really funny because on all of these boxes for these secret projects, we get a little quote. It's usually from Hoyd. This one's from Hoyd, but check this quote out. Takes up like the entire box. I'm gonna read it out loud because I think it's also a really funny quote too. That just is like sounds so Hoyd. Let's get into this. I once ate a live frog, you know. Well, it was mostly like a frog. Had an extra leg or two and was violet in color, but basically the same thing. Slimy, amphibious, eccentric, perfectly nauseating in every regard. It wiggled as it went down. Sick. When I reflect upon my illustrious life, that moment inevitably surfaces as the nadir of my experiences so far. No, I realize that as terrible, revolting, and miserable as that day was for me, at least I wasn't the frog. Oh, I guess that's a good point. I think I need to keep these boxes just to keep all of Hoyd's quotes.
This makes it seem like it's not random. This card says what's in here, and it says Cosmere character pin. Then brimming with stormlight, Bridge 4's captain has come a long way from his humble beginnings.
Oh, yeah. That doth make it sound like...
So which ones do you have? You have Vin, Kaladin,
and Shallan.
Who's your fourth? So Vin, Kaladin, Shallan.
Oh, Vasher.
Vasher. That's right. Nice little Cosmere pin collection. That'd be pretty cool.
Yes. I need to get I feel like I need to get one of those.
You just need to get like a foam, like memory foam.
Yeah.
Like put it in a frame and then you stick these in
That's
there.
exactly what I was going to say.
Oh.
All right. And now that we've done the unboxing, you should put that book on its shelf. That's why I moved
Yes.
it. It's beautiful. That shelf is complete. That's really crazy to look at. We've got all 4 secret projects. That's really cool and still sad. Well, let's get into this week's chapters. 4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, 6. The action continues, and more hints are dropped, and more craziness.
Yep.
And it made me even more mad that
You
I got it spoiled for me. That's what I freaking get for Googling crap.
Yeah, gosh. Seriously, never trust Google. Never trust the internet if you don't want to be spoiled with anything.
I forgot that rule. The one time, all these other secret projects, I haven't typed a single word into Google. But now
The very last one.
The very last
Friend.
one. I got too excited. But I guess knowing does make the hints more obvious. So maybe as I point them out.
You can help guide the rest of us, I guess.
Yeah. But a little recap. Our friend Nomad was in some sort of gladiator contest. And then he got frozen and thrown unconscious. And chapter 4 sees him waking up, and he's bound, spread eagle, manacled, and some sort of ceremony is going on with.
And it is, of course, a ceremony that is only fun for the rich and privileged, I think is as they put it in the last couple of chapters. Because there is, yes, indeed, a ceremony going on. And one of the first things Nomad notices is that it is the people that are part of the ceremony are the ones that did good at dodging the Ember people in the arena.
And also something interesting. This society seems like surprisingly technologically savvy, but at the same time, it kind of has the feeling to me of almost like salvage. Like they have this great technology, but it's kind of old and clunky, but they're able to use it. So I'm having a hard time deciding if they've made this somehow or if they've just kind of found it or something happened and this is remnants. Because they have a security camera, a floating. What is it? Does it float? No, I think it's just swiveling. A security camera, and it looks at Nomad, and then it kind of swivels towards Glowing Eyes, who's this dude doing this ceremony. He's kind of doing a speech.
So it almost seems like they're broadcasting it.
Something. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, so it's obvious that Glowing Eyes like stoking up the crowd. He's doing some sort of like big old speech. And then he starts bringing out captives. And the first captive is a woman who did really well at dodging and all that good stuff. And you're kind of like, oh, what's going to happen to her? Like, is she going to be executed? Is she going to be whatever?
It definitely made it seem like it really, but
yes, but not
we see what
quite.
happens real quick.
Unfortunately for her, where you find out apparently this isn't something that she wants. Obviously, because she was like a captive, so she obviously doesn't want any of this. But what happens is apparently, first off, we find out how these Ember people are made, or how they're created, and it kind of seriously reminded me of hemorrhagy.
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
Like,
I kept thinking of the Inquisitors.
Kind of has that similar vibe. So basically. He has we know him as Glowing Eyes, has this spear. On the tip of the spear is one of these ember things that we've seen inside these people's chests. Mm. And he gets it and he stabs the woman right in the chest with it, and then like burns and sizzles, and then she essentially she like spasms and is like freaking out, but
screaming in pain.
But it seems fairly obvious that she's been turned into one of these Ember people, and prior to her being stabbed, she was flipping out like this. She definitely doesn't want to be one of these Ember people.
I think if I remember right, when he whipped out that spear, she started fighting against her bonds even more than she already kind of was. Or at least she started fighting once she saw it. Maybe she wasn't before, but.
Oh, I forgot to. Something else happens before this. So before the woman's brought out, there's actually several other captives are brought, and the Glowing Eyes guy like picks them up by their throat and like shrivels them.
Yes.
And then his ember like starts to glow brighter. So it's like it almost seems like he's absorbing something from them.
Yeah, maybe he's absorbing their investiture or something.
Something.
He's whatever he does though, it seems to be powering him up while it kills them.
Yeah, and then he stabs this woman and she turns into a glowing eye. And then we get another glimpse at technology. Up to this point, This is what's making me think it's just kind of like, I don't know, this like advanced society, but at the same time they're kind of like not really advanced. Like it almost seems like this technology was given to them rather than they discovered
it for
invented it on
discovered for
themselves.
themselves. Yeah.
But yeah, Nomad sees a rifle. He sees a man come out with a rifle.
Yeah. I thought this was a little bit of a hint. Kind of, not really of who Nomad is, but of maybe where he's been. Because he recognized it as a rifle. Where I think if you put Kaladin in this situation, he'd be like, what is that thing? He wouldn't know what a rifle is. So it kind of made me think that maybe Nomad here has been to Scadrial.
I can see that. It seems like he's definitely been around the block. I think it's pretty obvious he's from Roshar.
Yeah, 100%.
There's some other hints. We'll get to those in this chapter that just solidify. Like, okay, he's from Roshar. We see that and we're like, okay, so what's going on? Like, why is it so? Why are they doing this? Why did he kill some captives and make one an Ember person? And why is she freaking out to be an Ember person? Like, I get that it's painful, but it also seems like it makes you into this powerful warrior. So a lot we don't understand about who this person is. It seems pretty obvious he's a villain.
Definitely. So far I've been kind of thinking that this glowing eyes guy is a enforcer of some sort. I don't think he's a leader really. Maybe he's a leader of like these Ember people, but I definitely think there's someone behind him.
But I think you're right. He definitely has the appearance of like a big baddie that's like sponsored by another baddie.
Yeah.
Kind of like in Wax and Wayne, how Wax's uncle was kind of behind a lot of the things that were going on.
Yeah, but even he was
that's true.
Almost like second in command, I guess. He was pretty high up though, but yeah, he ended up not being.
Ended up being the sister who was being controlled by.
Don't even ask me.
Dang it! What's that?
One of the shards.
One of the shards. It's like
I don't remember who, because there's Ruin and whatever that is, Sazed. But there's another
Ruin
one.
and Preservation together makes Harmony, which is
Sazed is Harmony.
And
then, but there was another shard that came to that planet and wanted to take it over.
Yeah, wanted to take it over. Dang it, the heck! I want to say Ambition, but I don't think it's Ambition.
I think Ambition was one of the other ones we were reading about. Like, I think Ambition was Yumi and Painter.
And we kind of, so, of course, Nomad's still thinking a lot about escaping, and so the first thing he does, well, not the first thing, but the first thing he really asks is he asks Auxiliary if there's enough energy in those emerald spears to jump off the planet. And so first it's kind of like, probably not. Probably might get you like 20% of the way there, but I don't really know until we.
But still, he's been like at 5%. So I mean, yes, he won't be able to skip, but that is enough BEUs to get him the language of the planet, which I think he needs desperately. And I think we need it desperately too, because we won't understand what the crap is going on.
Yes, he definitely needs to get a connection so that we start knowing what these people are saying.
Yeah, honestly.
And then the ceremony continues. Turns out there's 2 more spears, and Nomad gets an idea that he wants to try to provoke Glowing Eyes to stab him so that he can absorb the energy. So he does something totally crazy, I think.
I agree.
But he's strong enough that he can do this. He rips his hand out of the manacle, breaking his thumb in the process because he knows it's going to heal. But it takes longer to heal broken bones.
And he's pretty low on investiture.
Yeah. And then he summons a shard blade.
Mm-hmm. Dish.
Super awesome. So he summons a shard blade and he chucks it. And he's able to do that without the torment freezing him up because he's like deliberate. He's like, I'm not gonna hit him. Hit the wall. And so he's able to do it. But he also made it seem like the torment's like sentient almost because he's like, the torment won't let him get away with this now. It's on high alert. So I'm like, what the crap? So what is? But it's just like, what the heck is this torment? Like he keeps talking about the torment and the torment is doing this and that and the other. But like, what the heck is it? Is it like a curse? Is it?
Yes.
Like living thing?
I still feel like it's something to do with him. Like it's in his own head. He's done something to block himself. Because he wasn't even supposed to be able to summon the sword at all. Because when he tried to summon a weapon earlier, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, but
that's why he had to summon the crowbar.
Yeah, but then he even said he was like able to catch it off guard or something, gets the torment off guard. And I'm like, how the heck? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't either, but it is interesting. I hope we're gonna learn some good stuff here eventually.
Yeah. So he chucks it at the thing, and he gets the dude's glowing eyes. Like, what the crap is that? And then he summons it back and starts like transforming. He's like, there's like a crowbar, a wrench, a hammer.
Yeah. So pretty much, he's just trying to catch this guy's almost, I don't know how to put it other than said like his lust for
like
this
his
weapon,
greed or his ambition or whatever it is. It's obviously a powerful weapon, and it works. The guy obviously wants it. And then Nomad also deduces that by turning people into emerald something, he's somehow able to make them slaves. Because he's like, yes, come make me your slave so that you can take my blade. And then he starts planning with auxiliary. He's like, okay, when he stabs me, like, can you stop it? And he's like, yeah, I can form into a shield like right before it hits him, and then I can absorb it. So it's like, okay, cool.
I wondered about that because I actually thought when they first started talking about this, I thought that Nomad had to touch whatever they needed. But
apparently Nomad can.
Yeah, but
it's better, I guess, in this case to not be stabbed.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think if Ox couldn't do it, then yeah, he would have been either like killed or turned into. Well, I don't know, because maybe he'd be able to absorb the investiture fast enough to heal from the wound from the thing he just absorbed the investiture from. I don't know, but
no idea.
Or maybe they would have been screwed because he would have been just turned into another emerald-eyed slave person. Ox says something interesting just before all of this. Let me see if I can find the exact. This is before I think everything's really started. But Nomad tells Ox, he's like, I liked you much better when you were alive, and that got me asking even more questions.
I know, because then auxiliary is like, and whose fault is that?
Yeah.
So
and who's to blame for that? But so
we'll get more into my predictions and why I think that, but it's becoming more and more clear that Nomad was a Night Radiant.
Yes, but it's almost sounding like too that auxiliary is a Deadeye. Like that's what a dead sprint is. And I also something that's different with Ox is he doesn't have like a form like say Syl and Design. Like Design had a body, but I mean Ox does have his form where he's like when he's the crowbar and whatever, but
maybe it's part of being a Deadeye that you can't really form.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense because I mean Dalinar and all of the other newer knights were using Deadeyes and their swords would disappear, but they didn't have a voice or someone following them or a sprint.
Yeah,
following
they
them
didn't have a voice.
So questions about Ox as well. What the crap is going on with him?
Yeah, seriously. Oh, and also another interesting thing. This kind of stuck out to me. There's a part where it says Nomad had gained an unusual ability to metabolize nearly any kind of investiture, although sometimes he required auxiliaries' help. And that kind of reminded me of, what's her name? Dang it, the edge dancer. I don't remember her name, but she's an edge dancer.
Oh, and she's the one who can eat food.
Yeah, she eats food, and that's how she gets Stormlight. Like, she can't absorb it from normally like other knights do. So kind of similar to that. But it seems like he's a lot more powerful than that because he can like absorb it. Like we knew when he was flying in from the dead ground or whatever, he was kind of absorbing the radiation from the sun, like that reflected off the rings of the planet or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. And that reminds me too that I thought it was interesting to learn how the plants grow, and apparently like they kind of grow off of ring light instead of like we have moonlight, but the sun reflects off the ring so that the plants can grow off of less intense sunlight. But then, of course, the sun rises and burns everything.
Just burns everything. So it's like, man, it's a pretty intense planet.
Yeah, no kidding. Nomad says something about that in this. It's something like, these people are always living on the edge of destruction. Something like that. It was like, geez, talk about a stressful way to live.
So the reason that Nomad chucked the shard blade is because they were about to impale another captive, a gap-toothed man. This is our next hint of who this person may be. It's a gap-toothed man.
Who Nomad is, or the gap-toothed man?
The gap-tooth. So the gap-toothed man's about to get stabbed, and Nomad later says the reason he saved him is because he reminded him of a friend.
Okay.
Or reminded him of someone from his homeland or homeworld. So start thinking, who on Roshar is friends with a gap-tooth or knows a gap-toothed man?
I'm going to have to reread freaking Stormlight just to understand this book.
So that's why he throws the shard blade to distract him from doing that. And then he comes over to Nomad and he's about to stab him, but right before he does, there's a huge explosion and chaos. And
so that's where the chapter ends, no?
Yes.
There's one more thing I kind of wanted to talk about. Just a little side note, so we can kind of understand how many BEUs Nomad needs. But Ox was talking about like the spirits probably have a couple thousand BEUs, and that only gets them 20% of the way to skipping at max. So he needs a ton. We were thinking he had 1,500 breaths, which was a ton, but he needs more than that to make it skip. Yeah, because
getting another 2,000 is going to get him to 20%. So he's going to be at 3,500, and he's going to be 20% and 3,500. So he still needs 80%. So
he's going to have to find a lot of breaths somewhere.
Oh yeah, that's also another little hint here. I just like these little hints, these little things that they go. But so he kind of closes his eyes before Gap-Tooth guy gets stabbed, before he decides to throw his thing. But he said he felt something of the person he'd once been. Words once spoken in a moment of glorious radiance. I was like, And then it also describes with the sword as Auxiliary's truest form.
Mm-hmm. I liked how it said that.
So it's pretty cool.
All right, this is where things start to pick up. This is kind of, I feel like this
Not
is going...
the story's been slow to begin with.
Yeah, this feels like it's gone the opposite way of Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. Like, it took them a minute to get going. Even when they got going, it was still pretty slow. But this one's just like, it hit the ground running.
Yeah, they're like, go.
Yeah, gosh. Which it makes sense since they live on a planet where the sun is going to murder them if they don't keep moving.
Constantly have to run. So yeah, they're under attack. Weapons fire, blasting, chaos, and Nomad's really frustrated because Glowing Eyes turns and starts ordering his troops.
Yes, he was literally, I think he was like right about to stab him.
He was like reared up.
And he was so close in order to get that much, which would have been great. He probably would have gotten a little more strength. He would have been able to heal himself a lot faster, and he would have been able to communicate. But that was ripped from us so quickly. And I did like, the people who are attacking feel like they're the rebels to whatever people they have Glow Eyes answers to, or like the nobles type of thing.
Yeah, and his Glowing Eyes' first response is he summons up a bunch of emerald chest people, but then Nomad notices that they start to kind of collapse and fall over, and he also realizes that they have the same bracers that he has on, but he thinks that there's like some sort of attack that's immobilizing them. So luckily he's able to form Auxiliary into something that blocks his skin from touching the bracers, and he doesn't himself pass out.
Yes, and I thought that was interesting, just simply because Ox makes a comment like, "Oh, that was a tough shape even for you," which I didn't think it was hard to make a sprint into anything hard.
It turns out, because he does explain it, because it is interesting, and he says that in order to, like, because he talks about it a little bit in the, like, little things in his thoughts that he's thinking, is that forming Auxiliary, and I guess by an extension a spren, is kind of limited by your like imagination and what you know of what you're trying to form him into. Because he mentions like he wasn't able to form Auxiliary into a clock until he had disassembled one and like studied it and understood it, and then he was able to form Auxiliary into a clock.
Yeah, which I really like that. I think it's a really cool.
Yeah, you can't just be like rocket ship and like they're a rocket ship. Like you have to understand it, how it works, what it's going to do, and then you can imagine it and tell it the spren to become that.
Yeah,
which kind of is in line with like a lot of investiture and things, like its thoughts and intentions that matter. Even like especially with Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, we see like the nightmares would transform based on what you were drawing and what you thought of them. So
there's a trend, you're saying, in Brandon's books.
Who would have thought?
Yes.
But this part would suck. An explosion hits Nomad's where he's at and topples him down like practically on his face.
Yeah. His face is like even in the mud. He can't even say his little comeback remark to auxiliary when he says something to him because his face is just buried in mud.
Yes, he says, Nomad, the hero says to his exceptionally lazy valet, this is no time to take a rest.
Yeah.
So he's like being smushed by a thing and he's like, quit taking a nap.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun to have a Spren companion.
Right? That's just all sass and just like calls you on all your crap. And you're like, shut up.
Yeah. I think everyone could use a Spren. It would humble a lot of people.
But he comes up with a pretty clever idea of how to get the slab of whatever the heck off of him. And that's he forms auxiliary into like a jack, which is another like, where the heck has this guy been that he knows? He's from Roshar. He knows what a rifle is. He knows what a jack is. He knows what a clock is. And so it's like, it's obvious. Yeah, we've said this multiple times. But
this still, all that seems like from Scadrial to me. Because, I mean, they had some vehicles in that. So maybe they had jacks.
But he jacks it up enough that he can get his feet under him, and he's strong enough to kind of like heave and make it so now he's on his back. So he's still like attached to this, but by one arm.
Yeah, one arm still locked down.
But at least he's not being smushed by it. And then we kind of get a picture of the battle that's going on. And it's pretty interesting because he was mentioning that these were ineffective warplanes. So he doesn't know so there's no, like, these aren't spaceships. Like, he knows what a warplane is. And the reason they're ineffective is because they themselves don't have guns. What the shooting is there's each of these ships that are attacking this city, this place, have decks, and there's people standing on the decks with rifles shooting.
Yeah, so these ships kind of they're pretty decent sized.
Yeah, he also says that they can't get very high, like they're only going like 30, 40 feet. So like they're good ships, but they're not war vessels, is what he's getting at, which is like another hint that, to me, that you would think that these people would have planes that could like go high and fly really. I don't know. I don't know.
It definitely almost feels like an apocalypse happened, and they kind of just made do with what technology they could make use of. But yeah, they still are trying to kind of survive their caveman little era, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's kind of the impression I'm getting. I could be completely wrong. I probably am completely wrong because it seems like whenever I try to predict these books, I'm totally wrong. While he's there, one of the rebel ships lands next to him, and he's like, "Hey, help me, hey!" And they ignore him and start looking through the mud, and then they grab the woman that just got turned into an ember person.
Was it, or was it the woman that tried to kill him in the arena?
Oh, was it the woman that tried to kill him in the arena, or the one that was fresh killed? Oh yeah, you're right.
So
you're right, yeah. So they heaved. So they went over there. They found this woman laying in the grass, and it was the Ember Woman who hunted Nomad during the arena melee earlier. And they capture her, and Nomad's kind of like, why are they capturing her? Like, is she gonna be like a political hostage or?
Yeah, trying to figure it out. And they lock her up on their ship.
But then they come under attack.
Yes, the glowing-eyed man. He kind of disappeared, but now he came back, and he's on his own ship now and shooting.
Apparently, he's a pretty good shot too.
Yeah.
It makes it seem like he's pretty far away. It doesn't really say how far, but he shoots one of the guys in the shoulder and then blasts his head like clean off. It's like bang, bang.
Yeah, his head like disintegrates. I think he said.
It's like, oh jeez.
I wanted to know if it was actually some sort of disintegrating gun, or if it just literally just blew his head off.
I don't know. Who even knows?
Because I mean, he got hit in the shoulder, and that he just got shot in the shoulder. He didn't his arm didn't disintegrate.
That's true.
So mainly headshots work.
Only headshots explode. And so Nomad's like, yeah, I gotta get the heck out of here. So he tries to rip his other hand out, but that one's tighter, and so all it does is break his thumb, and he doesn't get out. And I'm like, well, that sucks. Now you got two broken thumbs. I can't imagine.
Like, I think of myself, like, I do not want to break my. But I guess it's different for you and I.
I've heard like people like dislocating their thumb to get out of handcuffs. I've never heard of having to break them.
It's easier for him to do it because
he's going to heal.
Investiture. And
I think that ability to heal from almost any injury makes people incredibly reckless.
I think so too.
Like we see it time and again with all the Knights Radiant, especially Windrunners, that they just do insane things because they're like, "Oh, I'll heal."
Yeah. They run out of investiture and get in trouble.
I know. I was like, well, wouldn't that be nice?
I guess you'd say they run out of stormlight.
Or they don't pay attention to their stormlight, like in the Rhythm of War, the opening scene when Kaladin is in that burning house, and he goes in and he like just holds his breath because he doesn't need to breathe with stormlight. And then he runs out of stormlight while he's in the freaking burning building, and it's like, jeez Louise.
They need to find a way to have a lot more investiture on them or stop using it so quickly.
And so he's able to call the woman over. So it's a woman that's...
He had to try pretty hard to get over. She did not want to help him out, but she was outmatched by the glowing
Yeah, and
guy.
he's able to somehow use sign language to imply that he could shoot them. So she first throws her rifle to him, and he kind of takes a few wild shots, obviously not aiming.
It does work, though, to get the glow-eyed guy to kind of like, oh.
And it's another surprise. They're like, wow, I can't believe I was actually able to shoot a gun. And he's like, I had to think really hard. Like, oh, I'm shooting just right there. I'm not even looking at the guy. I'm just like shooting.
There's no one living over there, so. And he shoots the manacle off, doesn't he? Is that what else he does with it?
Mm-hmm.
He shoots the manacle off to freeze his other arm.
Does he shoot it off or does she? Someone shoots it off. I think it's him. Nomad shoots it off. And luckily it doesn't blow his hand off. But it was actually kind of a funny joke because I think it was, because Auxiliary was like, you might blow your hand off. And he's like, well, I have to.
Yeah, I've got to.
I wonder if you could heal from that. Like you get your hand cut off. Like can you just like hold it against your wrist and they're like knit back together?
I don't know, but I certainly want to. I would not want to risk it.
No. I mean, because Lopin's whole arm grew back, so maybe it would just grow back.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
So if his amputated arm from years ago grows back, like you would think your freshly amputated hand would grow back.
He probably doesn't have enough investiture right now, but maybe if he got enough, he could.
Maybe. And again, all he's thinking about is leaving. He's like, maybe I can steal the ship. And Auxiliary's like, you're despicable.
Yeah.
Like she saved you, you're just gonna steal your ship.
That reminds me. We didn't talk about this, but when he was watching the people get like that woman get stabbed and made into this Ember person, he would say, "It's not my problem. It's not my problem."
Yeah.
So
and he had to close his eyes, and that's when he like remembered. He was like, words spoken, and with a moments of radiance, and so. Seems like whatever he's running for some reason, is catching up to him on this planet.
Yeah.
It's as far as a sense of like who he is. We know he's running from the Night Brigade, but it also seems like he's running from himself and his past, and that part of it is catching up to him.
And that's the part that I think is what is causing him issues with his torment, whatever.
How would explain it? Because it seems like such a weird thing that's happening to him. Oh yeah, he also decides to save that guy that almost got stabbed.
He had like gone down or something. I don't remember what it said about him, but he wasn't just like running around like, what do we do? Like he was down. Like,
because what had happened to the guy he saved, which I think you're probably getting to this. I probably shouldn't have cut you off. But anyways, because he was up on the podium with glowing eyes and he was about to be stabbed. And when the fighting started, they threw him off. And so he like fell down. It made it almost seem like his legs are broken.
Yeah, he seemed like he was hurt.
Let's see what happened. Yeah. He was almost buried in the mud, leg twisted in the wrong direction, his face bleeding from what might have been a kick. So it was like he has at least one leg broken. He fell into the thing, and Nomad decides to save him, does save him. And Auxiliary's like, that's uncharacteristic. And then Nomad says, he reminds me of an old friend, that's all. So that's your other hint. An old friend with the cap tooth on Roshar.
No, wait, I don't mean to make a guess.
And then he forms a shield and kind of blocks like ding 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 ding
yeah.
into blocking all these shots, and then they jump on the hovercraft and start to fly away.
Yes. I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast, but I think we just talked about it like just when we were hanging out or whatever, but this would be a prime moment to turn your shard blade into a lightsaber. And just but I don't know if he would block all these whatever they're shooting at him with like a Jedi would.
Probably not.
But yeah, I don't think we've talked about it on here that if we got a shard blade, we would totally turn it into a lightsaber.
6 foot long lightsaber.
Yeah,
just kidding.
That'd be pretty awesome. I mean, you could probably make it 3 feet or whatever. Yeah. But yeah.
And so this whole hit and run tactic, the rest of the group that was part of this rebel attack is already like way far ahead of everybody, and they're kind of lagging. And so we're reading chapter 6. the beginning of chapter 6, as they're trying to escape, since they're the laggers, 2 ships of glowing eyes men start to catch up to them, and they're full of these ember people that are just wanting to kill them.
If that glowing eyed guy is any indication of what these people are like, he's probably like super pissed that they're challenging his authority and making him look foolish. There was a crowd when they were changing those other people into the ember chested people. Mm-hmm. There was a crowd cheering and loved that woman was like panicking and she got stabbed. They loved it. And I don't know what happened to them when this whole thing started, but I'm sure that the glow-eyed guy is feeling embarrassed and is pissed off, like,
he is
prideful.
Yeah.
So I think he's just like got that attitude, like, they all need to die so I can feel better about myself.
100%. So now we have a epic car chase, essentially.
Yes.
And then there's a sharpshooter that's kind of taking shots at them, and so Nomad he gets up on the thing and he starts blocking, and he notices, because of the damage done by shots, that this thing is powered by something similar to the emerald spears. And then he's like, "Can I use that to skip?" And then that's always things.
It's funny. He's like a child. Can I use that? Can I use that? Can I use that?
And he says you can probably get like, how many did you say? You have to like consume like 20 of them in order to get enough to skip. So there's definitely a decent amount in there, but it's not really a lot, and not enough to skip. So he's like, "Dang it!" And we get a pretty cool fight scene, which this made me think that Nomad needs to learn like kung fu.
No kidding.
Because kung fu is very good at like just redirecting attacks and like not actually attacking people, because these things catch up and he jumps over to one of the ships and starts passively fighting.
Yeah.
Because he can't actually hurt any of these people, so he's just like rolling, blocking, kind of tripping them up and doing all these things until he actually a pretty clever idea. I like what he does. He gets to the compartment of that ship where the power source is, and he rips it up.
Yeah,
so he grabs it.
He does find a really good way to defeat these guys without like stabbing you in the face, turning them to ash or whatever. But yeah, he rips that out, and their ship goes down. And he jumps away.
Well, he absorbs it. It seems like when he ripped it out, it didn't like immediately start to fall down.
Yeah, I think you're right. He absorbed it, and then that's when the ship started going down.
And I like the way he described how he absorbed it. Oh, wait. I got to backtrack again. I'm getting too excited. Action scenes do that to me. So when he takes a leap, this kind of gives us a hint of what order of Night Radiant he was.
Oh, yes. I was going to bring that up. He 100% sounds like a Windrunner to me.
Because he jumped, and he said he felt stronger in the air. And he soared, and he like brought back all these memories of like the infinite sky ahead of him and the ground beneath, and he just felt powerful and free. And I was like, okay, so he's a windrunner. He's a windrunner, or whatever that other law order is that's sided with the
Void Spren.
With the Void Spren, because I think those are the only 2 orders that can fly.
I think you're right. The other ones can probably jump high, but that's it.
So he's one of those 2. Probably more likely. Well, I don't know. Actually, he could be either one, because I know the one's really stingent about following the letter of the law. The one's all about honor and saving people, and we've kind of seen little aspects of both of those. More towards honor, because he's has to close his eyes when people are being hurt, and he's like, not my problem, not my problem, not my problem, not my problem. So it seems like he feels really pulled to help and save them. So you're probably right that he was a Windrunner. And somehow broke his oaths, killed Auxiliary, but now somehow Auxiliary is still able to do things.
Yes, this is making me still think of like maybe this has not taken place the exact same time as like Kaladin's the Stormlight story we know. Like, well, I take that back already, because this is somebody we've already met, so it's obviously in that time they figured out something. Maybe he learned from Adolin how to bring back his Spren.
Before he rips out the power source, there's 2 ships chasing the main ship. The main ship, 2 ships. So he jumps to one ship, kind of fights there, and then he jumps to the other ship, and then the other ship comes over there, and then everyone on that ship jumps over to this ship. So there's like 8 people, 8 of these Ember people trying to kill him, and that's when he rips out the thing. the power source. And it says it glows to similar light of the spear, and then he pulls it up to his face and is like, essentially what he does with the when you end up inhale stormlight.
Like that's what Kaladin does. He inhales and that brings in the stormlight.
Yeah. And another hint of who this person might be is he just talks about how it took him months to be able to do that on his homeworld, to be able to suck in. And he's like, the act of breathing is more just like a crutch, like usually magic users in a lot of stories don't actually have to like use their hands and arms, but they do because they just think they do, and so because they think they do, they have to. So it's like one of those things.
Right.
So yeah, so he gets that and he absorbs it, and then it's enough to form a connection, but apparently it takes some time because Auxiliary has to work on it in order to get it going. And then he starts speaking Alethi because he says the way that connections work is his soul's going to be tricked to thinking that he was raised on this planet, and so his native tongue, whatever that is
we know he's not Alethi. That's all we know.
He's not Alethi. And yeah, so that's why he starts speaking in Alethi, because he doesn't want the people, because if he speaks in his native tongue, it'll come out as the language that these people will understand. And he, for whatever reason we don't know yet, wants to maintain the advantage of he can understand them, but they don't know he can understand them.
Oh yes, there you go. I can see that.
So he does all of that, and it's kind of like going crazy. And there's still the one other ship, and that other ship has the sharpshooter on it. And so he jumps over to deal with them, but they seal like a blast door on like the compartment. But before it
kind of
shows,
made me think of a little bit of like just our planes. Like you go on our planes, there's a door between the passengers and the pilot. Yeah. So it just seems like they closed that, so Nomad couldn't get to him.
But then they try to do like a barrel roll to get him to go off, but he like forms a magnetic boot.
Yeah, with freaking auxiliary. I thought that was cool. I didn't know that Spren could become magnetic.
Apparently they can.
You just gotta have a lot of practice or something.
Yeah.
Actually, there's actually one thing I just thought of that I think this means this takes place a while after the Stormlight story we all know, because he talks about in this chapter how he and auxiliary have spent decades together. So maybe not super far into the future, but I still think this is all happened after the stuff of that Stormlight.
Which is another thing I'm kind of mad about, because if that's the case, then it's spoilers that they beat Odium.
Maybe they just ran away.
That's true. I guess it could be that.
But I mean, it definitely does make us go, wait, did they win? Is everyone dead?
Yes. And as they're speeding, I just like all these references. Even though we already established she's from Roshar. It's like as she sped a sheet of rainfall, reminded Nomad of another storm back home, a place he missed terribly, but could never visit again, lest he lead the night brigade to people who loved him. And so it's like, okay, so we can't go back to Roshar. These people over these. Well, I guess we'll find out more as the story goes on, but very frustrating.
There's so many times where he like starts to think about something and it's like, and then that happened, but I can't think about that right now. You're like, what are we talking about? Do it.
Yeah, but yeah.
So Brandon he's just dangling the bacon in front of our face or whatever.
So he deals with the last ship by basically intimidating them. Like he gets the rifle away from the marksman and makes him think he's going to blast him. Then he's like, get out of here. Don't let me see you ever again.
Yeah.
And then he jumps at the other ship and then they fly away. And then
he jumps back to the ship that they escaped on. And so the guys he let go, they flew back to some other ships that were also following them, but were just farther behind.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, these ones were faster and were able to catch up. Yeah. And they go, so they're flying towards some sort of storm, which is where this rain came from earlier. And they kind of go into there, and that's kind of where it ends.
Yeah. So where we're kind of at now is he's still, at least we can't understand what they're saying yet. It didn't translate anything. I can't remember if that pilot lady even said anything.
She's kind of like spoken things he doesn't understand and like said some things and expressed frustration and in her mannerisms and stuff, but beyond that, not really much. She's been. He said she was so focused on driving, she didn't even notice him deal with the other ships.
It's just too bad because it probably would have been inside to see.
The other guy, the gap tooth guy, noticed and was watching with awe, like, holy F.
Yeah.
But then he passes out too, good from blood loss.
Yeah. So I'm guessing in the next few chapters we will meet the gang of rebels and maybe like meet their leader, and then Nomad will actually be able to understand them / we'll be able to understand them, which will be great because I want to know what the crap is going on. I want
Rather
to
than
know.
being like, and then they spoke gibberish. I'm like, well, what did it mean?
Yeah, exactly. I want Nomad to question the people, like, what's going on with this planet? Who are these people? What do they want? Why are you guys hiding? And all the questions that we want answered. Give me more of those batteries that this ship has.
So still all these questions of like, who's the Night Brigade? Why is he so desperately running from them? How long has he been running from them? How long has his friend been dead? Was he a Windrunner? Why did he break his oaths? And what's this torment and what's it doing? And so it's just like,
well,
even
we
though
just
there's
got
been a
to
lot of
finish the
action-
book to have all those answers.
yes,
Well, we're just going to have to wait until we read those next few chapters.
yep.
Oh, well. This is how authors incentivize people to keep reading their books. You want to know more? Keep reading.
Is that something famous Brandon says whenever someone asks him like what's going to happen? He's like, read and find out or something.
I think he says that, and I think a lot of other authors say that. They won't just like give it away.
Well, yeah,
Which makes sense. Why would they do that? It's a stupid move.
I agree.
I don't remember if I mentioned this, but on the book club for You Mean the Nightmare Painter, his wife Emily was talking about how Brandon, says how he gets so he likes when his wife is staying up late because she can't stop reading his book. Which I think is what happened with her and Yumi. Like, she just couldn't stop reading, and he was like, excellent. And he's just doing the same thing with his book.
Yes, he
We
is.
just need to sit there and keep reading until it's over. But we'll get into it next week. See what happens. Learn some more about this place.
We'll learn more about this place. Hopefully get more tidbits of what happened with Nomad.
And hopefully he will be able to absorb some more BEUs.
Not too quickly, because then he'll just leave.
Yes, I'm sure there will be other obstacles that he won't be able to actually absorb what he needs.
Yeah.
Or maybe his judgment will come over him again, or his conscience, or whatever. With the Gape-Toothed Man, he saved him against his nature. So we'll see.
We'll see. Whatever it is, it'll be good, hopefully.
Yeah. We'll have fun next week.
Next week.
Yeah. The end.
It's over.